This podcast is intended for mature audiences only.
Welcome back to the Cuckold Marriage Podcast. I'm cuckoldress Lexi Meadows, and today we have a very special episode. We are doing a joint episode with the Bull Brotherhood and the Siren of Freedom. So sit back and enjoy a conversation that includes every perspective in the room of a cuckold relationship. But before we jump into the show, just a few reminders. First, thank you to all of the cuckies out there who have subscribed to my Fansly. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love to show you more of my naughty side. And you can find my Fansly through my website, cuckoldresslexi.com. Finally, please follow us on Blue Sky at the Cuckold Marriage Pod. Let's get on with the show.
Welcome to the Siren of Freedom After Dark and the Bull Brotherhood. This is a special dual episode. I have my husband Socrates on with me today, and I'm your host, Siren. Hey, babe, what's going on?
What's good, mommy? What's good?
So this is going to be a fun one because we are interviewing, well, kind of a co-interview with Chris and Lexi from the Cuckold Marriage Podcast. And they've got questions for us. We've got questions for them. So let's just dive right in. Hey, guys. How are you guys doing?
We're wonderful. How are you?
Doing great.
It's been a good week, and it's only Tuesday. So, you know, everybody loves that. We love Tuesdays around here. We'll have to tell you about that sometime. But we're excited to have you guys on. I know, Chris, you have some questions. I don't know if you want to just get started with some, or you want to tell us a little bit of background about you guys. And first of all, you know, like maybe a quick synopsis of how you got into the lifestyle and how you decided to start the podcast.
Yes, as long as you promise to return the favor for our listeners and tell the same thing. So, Lexi, do you kind of want to take it away with kind of our history, how we started the podcast and stuff?
We started the podcast because you had the genius idea of starting the podcast, and you also had the genius idea of cuckolding to begin with.
Yes. That is very true. So, you know, we're a married couple, and we live a cuckold lifestyle. And we were just, there was no podcast that had a married couple that was in this dynamic. And we wanted to fill that gap because we think that there's a lot of good insights by having both voices represented. And when we do our podcast, especially when we're storytelling and talking about our experiences, we're normally saying, hey, this is what I was thinking. And then Lexi will chime in. Here's what I was thinking. And it's just a really cool point of view for the listeners to be able to hear what the husband thinks and what the wife thinks at the same time. Does that make sense, honey?
Oh,
agreed.
I love that.
And how about you all? So can you tell us a little bit about you all and what your relationship dynamic is?
Do you want to do that?
Yeah. So even getting back to the original question is how we got in. I got in about 10 years ago from a previous relationship, and went through a divorce. And I ran into several podcasts, one of them, and the main one being the Keys and Anklets podcast, my boy Michael C. I learned from him and another guy, I keep forgetting he's out in Arizona, awesome guy. I learned a lot about being a bull and went out there, got on Adult Friend Finder, and went wild, in my opinion. Back then, I thought I was doing something.
For your 1 year of being single?
Yeah. For 1 year, I cranked in a few. You know, I got some experiences, and they were really great. And then I got a little cocky. I never talked about this perspective of it. So I got a little cocky, and I was like, I wonder if these skills can be used in the vanilla world.
No, you told me that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I got on Bumble, and this crazy lady hit me up, and then I want her to tell that story later, which is kind of cool. And then it was, I knew she was something special, so I actually got out of the lifestyle because I wanted her to just, you know, have a relationship without having to worry about if I'm fucking somebody, you know, right after the date. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and then it was, we taught, you know,
Took me about 4 months.
I introduced her to it, and then took about 4 months, and she finally talked to a female friend that kind of backed up everything I was saying, because I'm very deep into ethics, into principles. I tell everybody to read The Ethical Slut. I do a lot of research, so I'm developing my own things. So then I say, man, we went to a club, and that was it. That was it. She was done for. She was like, I'm here.
And our main, I think, dynamic is stag and vixen, but he's also a married bull. I do cuck sitting. We play solo. We do threesomes, group stuff. Like, we're pretty diverse in like what we experience, but I think our main dynamic label would be stag and vixen. So, and we've been married for 2 years now, and together for almost 5. And almost all of that in the lifestyle. I found out about the lifestyle about 2 weeks after, which I'd kind of known because, in my single regular hoe, I call them I was a regular hoe before it became an ethical one. And so there was about 12 different couples that asked me to join them. And they didn't use the word unicorn or anything like that. They kind of explained it, but I didn't really get it. So I declined all of them. And then I had a friend who asked me to read The Ethical Slut with her because she was newly single and was in an area where a lot of people were in ethically non-monogamous relationships. And so I didn't really know too much about it. So we read it together. I was reading it for the second time when I met Socrates. So that just kind of was a natural launching pad to help, with that 4-month period of finding out. And then we've had this podcast for about a year. I think the podcast idea really came from, I've just had like a burning desire to help women find sexual freedom since I was about 20 years old. Growing up so conservatively, I just knew that there was something more. I knew that, someday I needed to just be able to speak women and help them find that freedom, that they too could enjoy sex and all things. It wasn't just for men's pleasure. And then when Socrates, we've talked about that. Did we start them about the same time?
Yeah, my story is a little different than yours, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was that, but then he was like, "We need to platform this," and then what happened?
Yeah, so I started Siren Media Productions, and that's a different conversation. My story was, I have what's called the Squad, and these are 5 other gentlemen that I think are what I call high-level operators, and they're all bulls. So there's Dimitri from Splash Mocha. There's Mr. Mocha from the Orgasm Faces podcast with his wife, Mrs. Mocha. There's Michael C. that I talked about. And a guest on all of them is Pagan from the 4 Horrorsmen. Those gentlemen right there.
And Brian Morgan.
Oh, our my bad. And the most important one,
our
my co-host.
Yeah, he only can record on Thursdays.
Yeah, exactly. And Brian Morgan. All of those gentlemen are 30 years in the game, 20 to 30 years in the game, high-level operators, love women, love the wife-centric lifestyle, love everything about it. And we were all sitting around talking. I'm in a fraternity. I was also in the military. I've been in gangs. I value being around men and other people that are sharpening the saw and sharpening each other. And we were talking about a brotherhood and how we're not just guys chasing pussy, delivering BBC. That's part of the package, but we're men trying to take this to another level and really, really give the hotwife, the cuckoldress, the cuck an amazing experience and good quality men to interact with and with good quality cuckold couples and stag vixen couples. And it was Michael C's idea, and I got his permission to call our podcast the Bull Brotherhood. It was Mr. Morgan's idea to put Siren on because we're like, if we don't have a woman's perspective, then what are we really saying, right? So, that's how the podcast came about.
Yeah, and so it's been a little over a year, and here we are. It's been great.
So my question to you guys, I'm going to get some of the basics out of the way, and then I want to dig into some psychological things.
Chris has questions.
Oh, my bad, too. My bad. Yep. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You ask yours first.
Listen, Socrates, I'm telling you ahead of time, Chris.
She's right.
Socrates will not stop talking until the cows come home. And then he's like, take a 5-minute break to take a nap and be right back talking. Yeah. So you should get your questions in first.
Yeah, I ask a lot of questions. So yeah, you guys go first.
Well, So my question is, like, as a cuck, I mean, this is the first time we've had a bull on our show. We've had other cuckold
awesome.
couples and that kind of stuff. And
I'm
so,
honored.
like,
I'm
but my
honored.
question is, my question is just like, my biggest question is like, what is happening in your mind as you're with like somebody else's wife? Like, what are your thoughts? What are your, like, what's going on in there? Is there like a conscious thought, like this is even hotter because it's somebody's wife? Like, I just really want to get into the head of the bull, because I know what's in my head. I know what's in Lexi's head because I asked her, but I have no idea what's in the head of the bull. So I'm just curious, like what goes through your mind when you're on that experience?
Yeah,
Ooh,
that's
I like that a lot.
That's an awesome question.
Oh, I'm
I love
excited to hear the answer.
it. Yeah. So, like I said, I was lucky to stumble across high-level operators. So I'm going to tell you what goes through their mind. Everybody else's, I'm just going to say opportunity. Yeah, it's cool. I get to fuck another man's wife. Some of it's pride. Some of it's just how hot it is. Some of it's lust. It's a variety. It depends on the bull. But what goes through my and the men that I try to hang around with and I aspire to be, and is one, leadership. So we're there to lead you through an experience. We're there to enjoy ourselves in the process of leading the couple, especially cuckold couples. They're the best at this ability to have this dance where a good authority, which I think a bull is, for me, a bull is one word and one word only, the authority in the room. If you're leading her to ecstasy, you're leading her to her fantasies, you're leading her to even things that she didn't know was there, and you're including the cuck in a way that's powerful, that enhances their marriage, that's what I'm thinking about. And I call that an explosion. If you get there and the wife explodes, you get squirt, you get sounds out of her you've never heard before, you get excitement, you get sluttiness, you get all of those things. And the cuck his energy is exciting and it feeds her. And so if I can spark that flow, as Michael C. calls it, that flow of power and energy, and I can keep that flowing, then it's just awesome. And the cool thing is that also works in reverse. If it's not a good vibe, if I start that flow, I see a lot faster, like it's not going to work. So to answer your question, what goes through my mind is, how am I going to lead you through this flow of us just having a great time and pleasing each other?
That is it.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
Good answer, man. I know you had a question, Lexi. Did you have a question? You had mentioned to me when we were outside that you had one, but I can't even remember what it was.
No, I can't either.
But one other question that I had is, what have you learned about relationships by being invited into so many of them? Like, you get to see so many different perspectives of different relationships. Is there something that you've learned about relationships in general?
Sir, brother, I tip my hat to you. You got some good questions. Okay. I feel challenged here. All righty. Let's go. All right.
Doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Because your brain pan is
This is an awesome question.
extended.
You're in trouble now because I have an episode on there, a segment called Socrates' Philosophies and Hypotheses. It's based on my favorite song from Wu-Tang, Triumph, and I talk about it. They're called the 12 Principles. And to answer your question directly, a lot. Because we are vulnerable in our most exposed state. Not only is it the sexual part, you're exposing your body, you're exposing the cuck's exposing himself to the bull's exposing his body, but there's some emotions, even if you're not polyamorous, there's some, excitement and angst and all of these kind of things. Well, all the kind of true things come out. And the more experienced you are as a bull, and the more you start gaining their trust and being the authority in the room, the more they're going to open up. So you learn things like, a big thing I've been thinking about is the thing is not the thing. Siren says that a lot, and Mr. Mocha says that a lot. In other words, like, you learn if she's yelling at you about the Rice Krispies, it ain't about the Rice Krispies, It's about the fact that, even though I'm a slutty cuckoldress or hotwife, and I'm fucking 15 guys in a weekend, you better not look at this girl at your job. And she's feeling that.
Yeah.
And she's feeling guilty about it, but at the same time, fuck no, this is my husband, and this is my father of my children, and this is my life, and this is also the guy where I feel the most comfortable when my cuck is either knows where I'm at or is in the room or a part of it. You know, so you learn so much because you get to see couples in their most vulnerable state. You get to see them argue about shit that you're like, this has to be an inside joke stuff or inside things. I don't know what the fuck y'all arguing about. And you get to see body language, and you get to see people's insecurities. I love it. I learned so much from it.
Very nice. Thank you. And over to you all. And I know you have a lot of questions for us.
Yeah. So Lexi, talk to me about what I kind of just talked about is how much does your cuck being in the room or knowing what's going on or behind you, how much does that add to your feeling of safety?
How much does that add to my what?
Feeling of being safe, of safety, of just feeling safe in the room or what you're doing.
Well, for one thing, I feel natural safety when Chris is around because he knows how to fight. So I feel protected. He's, like, if anything ever went wrong, I know that he knows how to beat some ass. So that's my first thing.
By the way, just to clarify, so I'm a retired combat sport athlete, so that's what she means. Now that I'm getting into a bunch of street fights.
Yeah. So
he's a trained professional.
That's exactly. So there's safety in that, which is very nice, and it's a nice feeling having him around. For that aspect. But, having him in the room or nearby, it adds an extra layer of excitement. It adds an extra layer of, almost my kind of performance, to be honest. Some of what a lot of what I do is just whatever comes naturally and feels good. But I also have my cuck in the back of my mind, and I'm not forgetting that he's there, and I'm trying to make sure that I include him in the most deliciously teasing way possible. So it does add an extra layer of satisfaction knowing that he's there or really close by and listening, and that he's getting the full Monty, the full experience of everything that's going on. Whereas, sometimes we're not together and I have to tell him about it afterwards. So it's nice to, have him there.
Yeah, I love that. And that's what I love about the cuckold dynamic is that I know that no matter where the cuck is coming from like total sissy, like cross-dressing, or it doesn't matter, to full on, like say combat sports. I know a couple of three-letter agency guys, military. I'm military. I also trained. So I know the gambit, but at the same time, I've talked to a lot of wives and they all feel that sense of safety and that sense of excitement and that sense of even taboo-ness with their husbands present or part of it. I love that. Mm-hmm. It's so powerful. Chris, let me ask.
Go ahead. I agree. I agree with that. And I think, when Lexi is by herself, like the other night she had an experience where I wasn't there. And it's just, it adds a lot when, I like a mix. So I like being there part of the time, but part of the time I think it's kind of fun to not be there so that she can kind of do whatever she has in her mind and not have to worry about, because when I'm there, she is the best at including me. And sometimes I feel guilty about that. Sometimes I just want to let her go have fun.
I won't argue with that. That's fun too sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of it too. Like, I know that, we're not in that same dynamic, but when my husband is not there, I just feel this extra sense of, just being present with that person. But then when he's there, it's almost like I want to include him, but I also want to, well, he always jumps in. That's just what he's not a very good at sitting stag. He jumps in, and I love it. But there's almost just like this. I want to show. It's like a little bit showy for me with him. Like I'm like a little prized pony that I just kind of want to prance around and like, you know, make him proud. So I don't have as much of that when he's not there. So I understand the difference between, you know, the different feelings that you have when your husband's there and when your husband's not there.
Agreed.
What other questions do you have, Chris?
So, well, one thing I wanted to know is, like, have you ever, like, actually turned a couple down? Like
any red flags or anything, and you've just been like, hell no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, I've
turned them down for you.
Yeah.
Liars.
Yeah. Like, I call myself vibe sexual. Vibe is very important. You obviously want to be attracted to the woman, of course. You have your standards. But for me, if the vibe is off, yeah. But a lot of times, I'm so curious about the vibe, I can't tell the vibe's off for a while. So I do trust my wife in those situations. I might stomp around and be like, oh, man, I want to meet some pussy. But but I trust her judgment.
I guess he's not a free-range bull.
Yeah.
That's what a married bull does.
Yeah. But I like it because, a lot of the free-range bulls, they run into a lot of problems that I kind of get to avoid because I have a teammate. Sometimes the couple doesn't even know they know I'm married, but she doesn't even know anything about Siren. And some are like, I feel like they talk to her more than they talk to me. You know what I'm saying? But it's always about vibe. It's definitely when the ethics are kind of wonky, when they're shady, we're definitely stepping away from that. And when it's obvious that one couple or another is trying to do it just for that.
For themselves.
Yeah. I think Siren doesn't see that I kind of filter a lot of those people out before she gets to know them.
Yeah, I'm just talking about that one couple that we got to it. Like, we talked to the husband. He talked to the husband for a long time, for months. We both did. And he, the husband's really excited, and we're kind of like, hey, when can we talk to the wife? When can we talk to the wife? Oh, she doesn't want to get involved until like right before. Like, that's a big red flag when they don't want to get their wife involved for a long time. But that there's a variety of reasons they cannot want that. Doesn't mean that every time it's. But we got all the way to drinks, and we were gonna basically go and I was gonna cuck sit him, the cuck, and he was excited about that. And we get to drinks, they show up. And he had told us that he had told her and, she was excited and all this stuff. And that was like a couple days before. Well, she gets there. She's like, I just found out about this like an hour before. And she didn't feel prepared. She's like, my toes aren't done. Like things that she wanted to feel good as a woman. She just sort of felt like it was sprung on her. And then I just turned to the cuck. I wouldn't say this is not my shining moment. Okay, I'm just being authentic. But I just turned to him and I said, oh, so you lied. And then my husband was like, maybe that wasn't like what you needed to say in that moment. But I was just like,
you weren't wrong.
I think I was disappointed too. Like, because I was excited about the experience getting to happen. And then when that happened, and then the wife clearly was not like on board and ready to go, then I just was like disappointed. So I just was like, you lied. And then it went down from there. So that's one example. And then he's done plenty on his own where he's like filtered them out before I sometimes even know, that there is a couple, there's a lot that fall off pretty quickly.
I just had a guy that's cheating on his wife. Met another lady in a nearby state. She's ethically non-monogamous. Her husband knows everything's great. They're going to kind of get together as kind of like playing the cuck thing. I didn't know this till later. But, like playing the cuck thing. And then I was really clear. Your wife knows about this. Yes. And he was like, yes. Boom. Your husband knows about this. Yes. Boom. I always take a screenshot of that. Next thing you know, man, 2 days later, the wife texts me.
I went through my husband's phone and he's cheating on me.
Right. So that's a way of filtering. I make people say
Wow.
very clearly, the wife's involved. Yes, I need to talk to the wife. I need to see if there's an attraction. There's so many things you need to filter out because, look, I own businesses. I travel. I take care of this crazy bitch right here. And
Me?
I don't need any of that shit. You know, I don't need it to go that way. So the more you filter, the more you have, I think, real life standards. Like I don't, you know, if you want to filter for armpit hair, that's fine. But I think you should look for characteristics, and you want, you know, or at least know what you're getting into. Like right now, I'm running into a lot of new couples, and I'm like, okay, breathe and educate, because in where we live, it's kind of like where we're at. They're probably 10, 15 years behind what most of America's at. So, you know, I have to know what that is.
Yeah, it's just calibrating
and be
for-
patient, right?
Calibrating for who you're dealing with.
But
too.
if it's ethics, if it's lack of communication, if it's not sure you really want to do this, all of those things, oh, no, we're not fucking with you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that makes sense.
And that doesn't mean
Did
people
y'all have
can't
any-
change their mind. There's a lot of people that feel really ready, and then right when it gets before it, they just, you know, that pit in their stomach just tells them, hey, we thought we were ready, we're not quite there. So we're not criticizing anyone who, you know, you always have the freedom of choice.
Yeah, and you know, you had mentioned something that really, like, I always worry about a cuck trying to like almost trick their wife into this. Have you guys encountered that? Because like that's
Yes.
that to me is like really not cool.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes too, and I try to, and when I am talking to the cuck, I try to talk to him and say, listen, talk to me for as long as you want to. But I said, really what is going to get you there and what helped me to get into the lifestyle was talking to another woman. So I said, if you connect me with your wife, I said, I know how to talk to her about it and gauge where she's at so that she doesn't feel like it's something she's being coerced in. Because I can understand you're excited. You want your wife to have a good time. You want her to be able to express herself. But a lot of those women need to hear from another woman to feel more comfortable about it. So I try to advocate for that. Sometimes they listen and sometimes they don't. So, but yeah, we do run into that.
And I want to kind of swim in some gray area stuff here too, because I've been really researching this for the 12 principles. I don't know if I mentioned it, but it's called the 12, and there are 12 basic principles that I think every man should have when he's interacting with a female, a cisgendered female. Is that there's a gray area between tricking and really pushing and helping and convincing and nudging your wife because you know that's what she needs. And I'm saying there's a gray area because tricking is wrong. And I have experienced it. I've showed up to freaking coffee dates, thought I was going to meet all three of them. He's just there. And he's like, well, can you help me convince her? The fuck? No, dude, no.
Mostly because he wasn't transparent with you. You know what I mean? We can help if they're transparent, but if they lie, then we can't do anything.
But I've also seen anything from cheating to like nudging and I don't want to say coercing, but encouraging, pushing, nudging, because he knows she's shy. She knows that there's a lot of women out there, the freakiest ones are the ones that are like, I don't know, I'm too sure, because in the back of their mind, they're like, I got some pretty freaky ass damn fantasies, and I don't know if he can handle it, and I don't know if I can handle it, and I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And so there's that balance. I think it's really about the intentions of the man. You got to be a man, whether you're a cuck or a bull or whatever you got to be. You got to stand up and say, this is what I want, advocate for yourself. You have to risk rejection. You have to risk it her having a problem for a damn year because how dare you,
Bring it up even.
Right. But you got to, besides that, you kind of have to be open-minded and you kind of have to let that process go through. But at the same time, some women just need some women really need, oh, he just showed up. And I hate to say it, but I've heard too many success stories from invited this really good looking, tall, dark, and handsome guy, and my pussy melted, and I started changing my mind. And it's like, well, that kind of sucks that it works, but it does.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been thinking about it. But turning fantasy into reality takes more than curiosity. It takes direction. I work with couples and individuals to guide you through the conversations and dynamics that make a cuckolding relationship actually work. Those first conversations and introductions to your fantasy are especially critical. Done right, it changes everything. Done wrong, it can break it. If you're ready to do it the right way, book time with me at cuckoldjuslexi.com.
Yeah, and I do coaching too with men and women and couples, and so many times I have guys that will start with me and they're like, I really want to convince her that this is a great lifestyle and things like that, and so then I'll end up, with her permission, speaking with her and helping her to kind of see what the advantages are to this lifestyle and getting her on board if she is willing and able to be on board. So, I agree. There's a difference between nudging, planting seeds, helping to introduce the idea, and then just plain being manipulative and forcing her into a corner.
Yeah. Deceitful, coercing, threatening, all of that.
I feel like the guys who, I have no idea. You've obviously talked to way more. But for me, I feel like women who really enjoy surprises and have been clear about like maybe talking more about their fantasies and stuff, that's maybe the ones that you could surprise a little bit more. Not the ones where they're like, what the heck is going on? We've never even discussed this, But the husband, I feel like that comes from knowing your wife and having the knowledge. And so if you feel confident as a husband, like, I really know my wife and I know that she's talked about these things, we've talked about these things, and she just is being a little shy, then that's when the surprise factor, could work. What do you think?
It could, yeah.
Yeah.
Or it could, backfire spectacularly. You just never know.
It could, but that's just the risk that men take when surprising women, because unfortunately we change our minds all the time. But that is also the benefit of when we change our minds all the time. In the moment, we're like, oh, actually, I do want that big dick in my mouth right now. Okay. when previously we were a tiny bit nervous.
Right.
I'm always going to err on the side of caution. That's just my personality. But definitely don't deceive, in my opinion. Don't lie,
Don't, and please, for the love of everything, don't try to get your wife drunk and just have her hook up with a random,
Right.
That's the thing that scares me the most.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing that terrifies me that a cuck might do. And I just don't want that, because that destroys what this lifestyle is built on, which is trust.
I totally agree. There's so many couples or people that I've heard stories of that are not in the lifestyle because their husband, their cuck, tried to do it in a really fucked up way, very irresponsible way, and now she's soured to the community, and now she's like, well, this is the way you guys handle things, then I don't want to be a part of this community, So it really sucks. Chris, I wanted to ask you a question. As far as Lexi talked about involving you, talk to me about that process. What is it about being involved that a cuck or you that it really gets you going, or that what turns you on, or the magic about it?
That's a really good question. I think that, when we started off as stag vixen, so like you, Socrates, I was not good at staying on the bench. I like the cuck tier had no place. I was in there.
He wiggles really hard, even when it's me and another woman. And when we're like, hey, just sit there for a few minutes, he is wiggling like crazy.
But, you know, we had an experience where I wasn't there, and I just enjoyed it so much. And that's kind of where we turned the corner. But I really enjoy both of it. But when I'm present and when I'm involved, it like completes the circle. And even if I'm not present, if she's engaged with me in some way or another, like even if it's like sending little videos, sending a couple pictures, like anything where I'm engaged a little bit, like helps me just feel, it makes me feel just included, you know, and otherwise I'm just kind of sitting there and with my cuck angst, which is fun too. Like that's the cool thing about my side of the dynamic, is that there's so many different fun ways to be engaged in this. There's the sitting and the waiting and just wondering what is happening. And then, you know, I'm now like classically conditioned like Pavlov's dog. When she is out and then there's a little ping on my cell phone that it's a, you know, text and I see it's her, like my heart goes racing, because this one here, Lexi, like knows how to tease. I mean, she literally wrote a book on how to tease a cuck. I mean, she's so good at it. So when I get those texts, and that just makes me feel so engaged. And then also like when the scene is over, like, so if she's not with me and she's coming home the next day or something like that, the next morning, and she like just gives me a call the next morning, just, hey, good morning, like I'm on my way home, like that's so nice, because it just feels so reconnecting, and like, oh, like the first thing you thought of as you were leaving was you know, me, and that was just so nice. But it always just feels like our relationship is more intact when I'm involved in one way or another. It lowers though the cut games, like honestly. So like there's a part of it that is less fun, because when I'm there, I don't have the angst, because I know what is happening and I can physically see it. There's some other stuff that is like there, you know, it's more teasing. Maybe there's some humiliation aspects, those kind of things. But the angst isn't there for me. When I'm present, like I'm not worried about anything. She's there. We're just going to have a good time. So that's kind of my perspective on that, is that I like both. I like being there sometimes. I like not being there sometimes. I think they're equally fun. I just like a balance.
That's dope. Lexi, what turns you on about it?
Well, I mean, it's fun in both instances. You know, when he's there, it's again, it's a show. There's a sense of, I get to, like what Siren said, you know, I get to kind of show off a little bit. You know, I get to be up close and personal, turning him on, showing him what I can do when I'm with someone that's not him. And so I really enjoy that aspect of it. But I also enjoy times where I'm out on my own. I get to fully focus on my bull and enjoy it, but I also get to send teasing pics and messages to Chris to kind of keep the fun going and just be like, hey, I know you're sitting at home, poor thing. Let me tease you and make it worse. You know? That's fun. I like that. Yeah. And, you know, and then when I get home, he's like wagging his tail like a little puppy. He's like, tell me everything. I want to know everything. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll tell you some things, and then you have to earn the rest, you know? So it's fun that way, because he wasn't there to see everything and experience everything. So now I have a fun story to tell, and he's dying for the information, and I can tell him right away, or I can draw it out. I can make him earn it. It's a whole new level of fun.
Yeah, I love that. It sounds fun. You
know what's interesting too is, like, I know that there is cuck queens as well, but you don't hear as many women who are like, I was just sitting home doing nothing, twiddling my thumbs and dying to hear about what my husband did. It just seems to be so exciting, like from the male perspective, like they like are so excited by it and so pleased by the thought of their wife out there doing what she does and coming home and
it's hard about it. Yeah, it's honestly hard to do anything else. Like putting on a movie or something like that, it's like it's so hard to concentrate on anything else when she's out. Like you almost are just like almost in like paralysis. Like you're just like paralyzed. You're just like, what is happening right now? It's so fun. But I do have a question for you all, and this one is one that Lexi, you get a lot in your coaching, is where in the world do we find bulls? Because I know, Lexi, it's not easy to find, especially there's a lot of guys who want to fuck you, but there's not a lot of like good bulls.
Yeah.
It's
a challenge.
Yeah. Where do you find guys like you, Socrates, and the guys you roll with?
Okay, so he's dying to answer, but I'm going to answer. So first of all, ladies, please send me a message on Telegram, Siren1982, and I will put you in my ladies group. And wherever you are in the country, we have a network. We have a referral system, and you can check guys there. And you can also find guys in your area that they recommend. And this network grew from the Splash Mocha events. And most of the ladies in there are from there. But then, we've just grown our referral system of bulls. And we wish that the men would sometimes send us some referrals that way too, like refer the ladies to, each other like that. But sorry, I messed that up. We wish the bulls would sometimes refer us ladies to each other as well. But we're very good about referring bulls to other ladies in our group. Did I totally fuck that up?
No,
you
fine.
look confused. Okay.
No, it makes total sense.
Okay, so if you join our ladies group, if you tell us the area that you're in, we, usually, unless it's just some place really obscure, you can find some guys. I can think of probably at least 50 to 75 bulls off the top of my head that I could refer, depending on where you are in the country. And I haven't even been in it that long, but just such a good group of ladies that, are experienced and have high standards. And then you can also, check guys in there too. We do not allow you don't railroad guys and be like, oh, I didn't like his attitude or he smelled weird. I do not allow that. But if you want to refer somebody, if you want to say something good, if you need to check a guy, then we say, hey, send me a message. I have something to say about him, that you might want to be aware of. But it's a really good network. So if you get in the network with other ladies, then we can help you.
Awesome.
So on the other side of that, so shameless plug, definitely go check that out, y'all. And that's something we're also building, is a network of bulls across this country. My question to you, Lexi, is: are you Queen of Spades, or are you kind of just open to different racial and cultural bulls?
Oh, I'm totally open.
Okay.
I like everything.
That definitely makes it easier for you.
Yeah, makes it easier.
Yeah, no, it does. It gives me a lot more variety.
Yeah. So for your audience, I would say nowadays it's not where it used to be, where it's like this taboo thing where people go on Craigslist and it was a couple of people here and a couple of people there. Lifestyle, ethical non-monogamy is blowing up. So you're going to have to use like a 3-pronged approach, in my opinion. One approach is you have to go online to the dating sites. I would recommend research what's one in your area, because I know like certain areas of the country or Cassidy's better, or certain areas SDC, certain areas SLS. I like Field. Field is a decent app. I would say online is SLS, SDC, all those things. Then I would definitely go your phone. I would do an app. I would do 3F. I had a lot of success with Adult Friend Finder, believe it or not. I know a lot of people didn't. And then there's Field, which is great. And then the third one, I was really go to some events, and I would go to Hotwife Palooza. I know the promoter for that. I've heard some great things. I haven't gone yet, but it's next on my list. Splash Smoke is great.
Ooh.
Yeah, Splash Smoke is great. That is specifically for the interracial hotwife scene. So it's some of the best bulls. Not all of them are the best, but some of the best bulls, BBC, African-American bulls in the country. Then I also know, there's Colette in I was going to say your area, but I'm not going to say that area unless you guys want me to. But and there's good clubs like Colette, things like that. I would do that because you don't want to depend on one of them, and you can balance it out. You could do like one website and one visit a year, but I would really get out there and meet people in the flesh and start building that network, and also meeting other ladies. And like she said, because there's a bunch of Telegram groups and Facebook groups and all kind of other different groups, kit groups that have these communities. And that's the best way, is to vet them, is to get on a community like the Siren of Freedom's Telegram group and really get vetted guys that women have said, yeah, this guy's great. I love this about him. I love that about him. They share the groups. Kathy K has one. I recommend that. And just be selective. So throw a large net, but be really selective on what you pull in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Does that answer your question?
Are a lot of really good options.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. And I think that kind of tracks. that really tracks with the way that we have found guys. Is like, we haven't found them in one specific way. Like, we've found them on field. We have found them at swingers clubs. We've found them like
vanilla dating sites.
Like Lexi the other night met a guy, she was just out like at a bar with a girlfriend and like met a guy. So like sometimes it's like that. We're just like at a normal bar, especially if I'm there, it like fucks it all up. Like, guys don't approach her, but whenever I'm not there, like, she has a good time. So, I mean, I think that's great.
Yeah, you're not like a wingman. You're more like a deterrent.
I am. You know what? Cucks are the greatest wing person for bulls and hotwives. Like, because we're on both of your sides. We're rooting for both of you.
Yeah, but if guys see you with me, they automatically are like, yeah, they're just like, oh, she's taken, I'm out.
Yeah, same thing for me. And even at some of the events, it's like, because guys will say to me like, well, I'm no Socrates. I just had that recently. I had a guy and he was like, well, I'm no Socrates, but I'm going to give it like my best shot. And I'm just like, I just want to experience you. Like, I get to experience Socrates every day of the week. And I'm very privileged and glad for that. But I want the experience that you bring, sir. So please don't compare. That's like, I do it because I compare myself to people. Sometimes I'm just like any other woman. But comparison's the thief of joy. It's like every experience is unique. I had one lady come to me and be like, oh my God, I had the bestest time ever with your husband. And I can't believe that you get that every day. And I said, oh, he never gives me what he just gave you. And she looked at me in horror. And I said, now let me explain. Because every time that you interact with someone, you bring a different energy and they bring a different energy. So no two experiences are alike. Even the experiences that I have with my own husband are not going to be the same, because there's so many different variables in it. So you really can't compare that. Even like you might have like a okay experience with a guy one time and then the next time it's out of this world. So because it's just, there's so many variables in each experience. So you really have to just own those experiences for yourself and know that you're having something that's unique to you and your play partner that no one else is going to have. There may be the moves, the different things that he brings to the table, of course, but the entire experience is going to be unique to the individuals participating.
That's so true. Absolutely.
Lexi, you said you are coaching, right? Talk to us about that. Talk to us about your coaching program.
Yeah. So, I pretty much coach from all different levels. A lot of guys will reach out that they have been wanting this for a while and they really want to broach the subject with their partner, and they're scared too because, if you do it wrong, it can really backfire and go poorly, and then you never get another chance. So they'll want some advice on that. Some of them want me to actually talk to her and show her why this is such a great lifestyle and a great option. Some women their partner has already like mentioned that they want this, but they're kind of not sold. They're like, it sounds like work on my part. I don't know. And so I'll talk to them about how, the work part's easy and so worth it. And there's so many benefits and so much fun to be had. Sometimes it's, they're together as a couple and they're just kind of maybe having a rocky go of it. And so they're wanting some ideas on how to best go about it. So yeah, I kind of help with those sort of issues. I also help single guys who are not in a relationship, but they'd like to be in one. They want to know where to find a girl, how to approach a girl, when to bring it up, how to bring it up, how their dating profile should be, what it should say, if it should mention it, if it shouldn't, etc.
I love it. Yeah. And I think, Chris, you said you guys have a book, right?
Yeah, Lexi does. Lexi wrote what is it called? It's,
Wild to Wild, 100 Ways to Tease Your Cuck.
100 Ways to Tease, Tempt, and Control Your Cuck. That's it. Yeah, that's the full title of it. Yeah, it's actually, so it's 100 different ways. And the way she wrote it, like the way you wrote it, honey, was pretty cool because like it started off like super, super tame, right?
Very.
And then it ends like pretty intense.
Yeah, it's all about like the, slow, gentle burn, mind fuck. And then, toward the end, it's like, oh, wow. That's an idea. But yeah, like it's available through my website, cuckoldristlexi.com. That's Lexie. And then it's also available on Amazon.
Yeah, you can just search her name, Lexi Meadows, and you can find the book.
Yeah, so send us the link. We will definitely put it in the show notes on our end.
You got it. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. Is it on Audible? Because I don't read a lot. I listen to a lot of books, though.
No.
Actually, it's not.
Well, we need to do that because Lexi has a great voice for Audible, so we need to record that.
And it is very lucrative from what I hear. It is. That is definitely, a lot of people are moving a lot more to Audibles.
Interesting.
Yeah, I love it. So, how do you pick a bull, whether it's online or meeting somebody at a bar? What are you looking at, besides attraction? And you could talk about his physical looks, but what are you looking at besides your physical attraction to a bull?
So I'm looking at the general vibe that he's giving me. I like gentlemen. I don't really go for the pompous asshole types. I like a respectful gentleman with, clearly a naughty side who knows what he's doing. So if a guy can convince me that he has those qualities, and he's attractive to me, it's pretty much in the bag. Like, I'm not going to ask how big, he is necessarily. I'm just going to be like, oh, hey you. So I do go a lot off of attractiveness and vibes, and I want someone that is going to be respectful of me, and if Chris is going to be involved, I want him to be, respectful of my cuck. I know that all cucks are different and want different things, and some cucks want to be maybe commanded by the bull and humiliated by the bull, and for Chris, that's not really what he's looking for in there, and not what I'm looking for. So I want him to be respectful and understand that I'm in charge, and I'm in charge of the scene. I'm in charge of Chris and what goes on, and that he's not. So there has to be some humility, because some bulls come at it from I'm the best of the best, and I get to talk down to your little cuck. And I'm like, no. So I want someone who's humble, but also has it going on.
Yeah. And I mean, every guy that Lexi hooks up with has one thing in common. They can hold a conversation. Like, I've noticed that. Like, Lexi is an equal opportunity in terms of just like race, ethnicity, like all of that kind of stuff. Like, I've seen her with every kind of guy physically, but the thing I don't see her with are guys who can't hold a conversation and talk to her. Like, that's the end for her. So if you're trying to get in Lexi's pants, you better be able to talk to her and to be interested in her life. And that's the one thing that I see consistent is if a guy can sit with Lexi for a couple of hours and the conversation is good, it's probably going to end well for you. Honey, that's my observation is that you care more about their personality. Like their looks are important, but personality is critical.
They need both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk a lot about that on the Bull Brotherhood, on being able to hold a good conversation, on being able to mind fuck before you physically fuck. And cuckoldry to me is a very cerebral lifestyle. And I think being able to hold a good conversation is very key. And it's something that on the Bull Brotherhood, we're always stressing. Now, take my lovely wife here. I don't know where the IQ level has, is for you, but she's just like, if you want to have a good time and fuck, I think she's kind of like, I'm cool.
I like the variety. I was just talking about this today with a gal that I was hanging out with this afternoon. And I said, at first, when I entered the lifestyle, I didn't really care. I didn't care if you knew how to pronounce my name. I just knew if you know how to fuck, I was ready to go. As I've come along, now I've just developed different play styles and different things that I want. So I kind of want something different from each person. Some guys, we don't talk much. We banter. We're sarcastic to each other. We're almost a little bit mean. And I like that. And then the play is hot as fuck. Then there's other guys that it's more of like we talk for a long time and then we don't, maybe the play is not as long. So it just is a variety pack for me, but I definitely am very versatile in that it just really depends on the bull and, what I'm needing in my life at that time. Because sometimes I need a listening ear and sometimes I just need you to, rough me up and fuck
do your job
and dick me down. I don't need a lot of talking. So I have play partners that we don't talk a lot, and the play is hot. And then I have other ones that we talk a lot, and the play is also good. So it's just what I'm needing.
I agree. I do feel like I have varying degrees of that as well.
Yeah, to be fair, there are some nights where there's not a lot of talking that goes down before we end up somewhere, with somebody.
Yeah, but those are, not as often as the ones where I expect a good conversation for a while beforehand.
Yeah, that's the most common.
Yeah, and that is pretty common in women. I call myself a weird girl in the fact that, when I was just being a regular hoe too, I could just meet a guy at a bar and just be like, and he'd be like, "Oh, gonna buy me a drink?" I was like, "You don't need to buy me or I told this one guy, I ended up dating him, but I said, if you were planning to roofie me tonight, you don't need to waste the roofie. I'm a sure thing. And he just stared at me, and it's a running joke to this day. I'm still friends with him, and he'll be like, "I'll never forget that. You said don't waste the roofie." So sometimes I'm in that mode, and now, as I've become friends with different play partners, then we have more to talk about. But it was the joke for a while. I have to fuck you 3 times before I can even know if I'm going to be your friend, because I have lots of friends. I have lots of people to talk to, and I got to have the physical piece, be good. But now I'm, onto the variety pack. So it's been an evolving journey, but it's only been, 4.5 years for me. How long have you guys been in the lifestyle?
Well, we've been in it 3.
Oh, okay.
I was in it with a previous partner for a while, so.
Yeah, Lexi has a lot more experience in lifestyle than I do. But I'm glad. I wanted it for a long time, and so when I found Lexi and I dropped it on her and told her that I was looking for this, and then she had mentioned that she had previous experience doing it.
I literally was like, I've been there, done that.
Yeah,
match made in heaven.
Right.
Yeah, I basically proposed heaven.
Yeah, he was hearing wedding bells.
Well, and my husband was just like, man, here's a freak that was an easy convert. I'm thankful, because I said, I'd probably still be running naked and wild out there somewhere, single, if he hadn't found me and introduced me the right way. I'm grateful that, I came into it with someone that, was educated, that did their research, did their homework, because although it's been a place of growth, it hasn't been a place that has caused, any heartbreak or extreme pain because of the research and because of the foundation and the framework that he had set up previously. So although I definitely would have fit in sooner, I'm glad that the timing was what it was.
Actually, Siren, that leads me to a question for you, and actually for Lexi too, because Lexi had a lot of fun, in her life. It sounded like you had a lot of fun in your life, and now you're in the lifestyle. Can you take somebody who is a vanilla wife and get her into the lifestyle? And if so, how does that work, and how does that look different?
A vanilla wife. Oof. It kind of depends on. Have I really done that? No, I haven't done that. So I think it's possible. I haven't found that person yet, because my vanilla friends, like, they're all just kind of set in their ways. They're like, they love hearing the stories, but they're like, I can never do that, and then they have all their reasons, I'm not like you, or, so that's the hard part, is like, people, different personalities. So I haven't brought someone through that. I think if they were willing and they were open and they actually wanted to, then I could lead them through that. But I just haven't found anyone so far that really wants it, So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that. Go ahead.
I think someone that is single is definitely would be an easier convert. We have a unicorn. She really was a natural, but she really only plays with us. So we were her first couple, and she has played with other couples, but then she just kind of has defaulted back to us. So, I really actually I was only with one person until I was 30 years old. I was only with my first husband. And then when I got divorced is when I had 10 years of crazy before I met Socrates. So, and now it's and I thought it was crazy, but really I was only fucking maybe like twice a week at the most. Like my friend and I we'd go to Vegas, and then we would have a good time there, But I'm way more sexually active and fulfilled and having way more fun in the lifestyle than I ever did just being wild and out in the streets.
What about you, Lexi? Have you converted anybody, or do you, or married couples or anything like that?
I have, although I will say that it is difficult with vanilla wives that have never given this any thought and are just kind of like, oh, well, that's an idea, honey. It's very difficult. If they do have more kind of just willingness to play and open-mindedness, then it's a lot easier to convince them that this is worth giving a try, and it's so much fun. But I think that it really goes back to just how they are internally. And, you can take someone who has never had any experience doing anything wild, but if they're naturally very just like, I'm game, they're very willing to try, they're excited by novelty, things like that, then you can probably convince them. But someone who is just very closed-minded, I think that's wrong. I think that's, and not willing to just give things a chance, then, I mean, no matter how bad the husband wants it to happen, it's probably not going to happen.
Right. So thus begins that's kind of why I, part of the reason of starting the Siren of Freedom is just to get it out there that other people, and on the non-Patreon side, I don't talk about the lifestyle, but I do tell lots of wild stories, have all these people on, and they can talk about all their sexual experiences, is I want women to I want to normalize it. Like, so much sex talk is hush hush, and it's like it's pretty much how all humans got on this planet, but people don't really want to talk about it. So the more we can just mainstream talking about sexual things, and even just vanilla people's fantasies, you know, that to most of us lifestylers are pretty, you know, tame now that we've experienced a lot, you know, I think that normalizing that talk will eventually help more and more women to be more comfortable and know that there's this whole other world out there that they could be experiencing. But when you're raised, you know, so conservatively as so many of my, you know, people that I've had on my podcast, it's like there's just not a lot of talk about sex. So how is it supposed to be something that you see as exciting or fun when it's always shame, guilt, you know, all these things? They've been taught that. They've been conditioned, you know, to not even talk about it. You know, not even for, you know, a lot of girls weren't even talked to about their periods or anything else. So when you're not even talked to about your body and how it works, you know, how are you supposed to get excited when you know, when you've been conditioned that way? Socrates.
Yeah, and what's sad is, you know, I've even seen a few, you know, women that were raised that way, and they have the fantasy, but they refuse to allow themselves to indulge in it because of how they were raised. They just can't get over it, and it's a real problem. It's sad to see.
Yeah, I think that if I had stayed married to my first husband and hadn't gone out there and just kind of went buck wild as I thought I was being, you know, I never would have found the lifestyle. You know, we would have never found it in that marriage ever, just because of the way we were raised. So, you know, everything happens for a reason in the right timing, and you meet the right people, and, you know, and that's why it's important for us to have these podcasts, because you never know who's going to stumble across it someday, and it may change their whole life.
Yeah.
Because the lifestyle has definitely changed mine. So, anything else, Socrates?
Well, no, we're coming up on time. We're about an hour, so we try to be cognizant of the time. Did you guys have any further questions before we got out of here? I thought this was great. I love the kind of back and forth.
No. Yeah, I loved it too. I mean, the one thing that I asked before we started the podcast, Siren, is that you would offer Lexi the same thing that you did to Kathy K, which is helping her find some good bulls. So you got to make sure we connect you two offline.
Yeah,
Right.
and I got to make sure they're bulls that like to talk, because I would say it's about 50-50 if the ones I have are, you know, when we have these, like, you know, when I had the weekend with my friend in Houston where we got a room for 3 days, she had done most of the talking to the bulls, and I just showed up. So
Nice.
you know, we scheduled it. She gave me the names of the guys. I reached out to them and said, you know, it's guys that either she or I already knew. She had, you know, established the relationship. She's a lot more chatty with them. We just kind of worked together on that. I was the scheduler. I was the, hey, you're coming at this time. This is how it's going to operate. And then, you know, we kept the communication flowing. But so some of them I chatted up, and some were very chatty, and other ones, you know, were not. They're like, hey, we'll see you there. So, you know, we get to put our bulls into different categories of conversationalists and DTF. So, but that network of ladies, I will tell you, it, you know, will give you the whole variety. I will say most of the ladies in that group definitely are Queen of Spades and are going to send you a lot more black men than anything else. But you know,
I know a few ladies in your area that play with every race. I can think of one or two right now. So I'll definitely get in contact with them and see what they got out there.
Awesome. Thanks.
I think I'm more excited about that than I don't know. Like you're smiling right now, Lexi. I like that look in your. She looks excited. I'm down for that.
For sure.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
But by the way, for our audience, where can they find y'all?
Yeah. So we're on pretty much everything: Spotify, Apple. It's the Bull Brotherhood Podcast. There is bullbrotherhood.com. It's kind of like an RSS. It's not exactly what I'm trying to do. I want to definitely get a better one, but we're also on Telegram, the Bull Brotherhood with no E, and then Instagram, YouTube, and then you can email us at the Bull Brotherhood the Bull Brotherhood @gmail.com.
And then the same for the Siren of Freedom. You can find us on Patreon, Apple. It's the Siren of Freedom podcast. The Patreon is where you're going to get all the juicy lifestyle stuff. Very inexpensive just to join that, $7 a month or something like that to get all the goodies there. You can send me a message on Telegram, Siren1982, and I can put you into the ladies group. I like to do a little bit of vetting and before I do that. And then also the Siren of Freedom @gmail.com if you want to be on the podcast. I'd love to have you, even if you're not in the lifestyle and you're just hearing this somehow, you can be on with any wild and crazy story, or if you just want to get on there and have a conversation. So we'd love to have you.
And the same for us, for our audience. Where can we find you guys?
So cuckolddyslexia.com is where you can, contact us, and we have all of our info on there. Fansly, we're also on Blue Sky at the Cuckold Marriage Pod. Where else are we?
I think that's it. Yeah, Blue Sky, and then cuckolddyslexia.com sends you right to all of her other stuff like her Fansly.
Yeah, LEXIE.
Nice. Well, that's a wrap for our show, guys. We really, really appreciate having you guys on the show. Hopefully we can do this again. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you guys and definitely supporting each other and listening to your podcast and learning a lot about, the couple as a whole. I'm excited.
Thank you guys so much. This is such a pleasure.
Definitely. I was just hyped up all day, and then we had that time conflict, so I was so glad that you guys could be flexible with that. We appreciate you working with us and taking the time out of your day to be here. So, and that's a wrap. Everybody, have a great night, and thank you for joining us on this dual episode of the Siren of Freedom and the Bull Brotherhood. Have a great night.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this special joint episode. Don't forget to follow us on Blue Sky and visit Lexi's page at cuckolddyslexia.com. We'll talk to you all again next week. Lexi, you want to say bye?
Bye, guys.